この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I am here for Ousama Ranking, episode 11. Woo! Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty well today. I will admit that I am exhausted today. Last night was our first really solidly warm night, and so I went to bed with the room at over 80 degrees, and it was just not happening. I just was not able to sleep. So that's gonna be happening for a bit, and I'm just gonna have to get acclimated to it. This happens every year, and it's one of the problems with living in a warm climate is that summer rolls around and it gets really, really warm. It's already 82 inside my room right now. I've got a thermometer that I keep at my desk for this reason, because I was convinced that my room got obscenely hot, so I bought like an $8 thermometer and put it in my room. It's like, gets really warm. It'll probably be 90 something by a couple hours from now, which is crazy. So it's just going to get hot and hot and hot. So I am tired, and that's all. But I'm still super excited and super awake for Ousama Ranking episode 11, and very excited to see what we see next. This has been my favorite show that we've been watching for all of the weeks that we've been watching, although that position may be taken soon by Area 88, which I am starting to watch on the OVAdrive slot, and it's really good, but in a completely different ways. There's no competition. It's just, there's more good stuff coming on the channel, and there will be more good stuff coming on the channel soon. The Friday Vox Machina slot will end soon, and I've got ideas now for what I want to pull for that. The Tuesday manga reading for JoJo's will end soon, and I'm coming up with ideas for what I want to do with that. There are gonna be some changes on the channel. It'll be fun. It should be good. Should be all good and all new things and stuff like that. And partly I bring this up because I'm not going to be spending a lot of time on the comments spotlight section of this episode of Ousama Ranking, because as of right now, having posted Ousama Ranking episode 10, I don't know, an hour or so ago, I did that before I went and showered and everything. The only comments that I really have on that episode are not about the episode themselves. They are some very nice comments by some very kind people who've just and only written things that are just nice about me. The people saying that they appreciate my content and the way that I make things, the way that I analyze media, and I appreciate that in return. So thank you all so much for those comments. It really means a lot to me. And if you have not written one of those comments, but first off, you can. Comments are good. But if you would like to support this channel and you appreciate the content that I produce, you can do so in a multitude of ways, some of which are really easy, like liking the videos or commenting on them, which just helps them get out to more people, and that's super useful. But if you want to actually directly support me, the way to do that is via the Patreon. It is my sole source of income. I don't make money off of ads. I don't make money off of YouTube. I don't make money off of YouTube subscriptions, just Patreon. And that gives me a pretty direct link to understand whether people are finding the content that I create valuable. If they're finding it valuable, then maybe they'll give me money so that I can keep making it. And if they don't find it valuable, maybe they'll stop giving me money. And that makes it pretty clear and a pretty solid way for me to figure out whether what I'm doing is working and whether it's useful to you guys and fun and valuable and whatever you get out of my content, to make sure that you're getting it out of my content. So that's the way to support me, and if you would like to do so, I would appreciate it immensely. It is how I survive and how I am eating good food and getting strong and being healthy and continuing to make content that I hope deeply and desperately is good and useful and valuable to you. Okay, but we don't have the time for the comment spotlight, and we don't need to spend that time. So I got a little bit of shilling done, and we are going to turn our attention to Ousama Ranking itself. Last week's episode focused heavily on the main boy, Bojji. Finally, after a number of episodes dipping back into the kingdom politics and all the weird struggles and stuff that's going on over there, we finally turned our attention back to Bojji himself as he reveals his power in the midst of a bar brawl that it turns out was set up for him by Despa, but still a valid and really cool sequence where he really shows his stuff, and his hyper precision and speed is all that he needs in order to punch gigantic men in the jaw and make them go, it's great. He also revealed some swordplay and some willingness to kill, which is wonderful and good. Kage got to see all of this, and we kind of got to see it through Kage's eyes, and that was really lovely and really nice, and I like it a lot. And from there, we moved into the difficult question of whether Boji is willing and able to turn his attention to his homeland. There are problems and struggles there, and Kage reveals that there are sinister things going on at home. And the question for Boji is he strong enough to face those things? Or is he going to withdraw and pull away from them? And by the end of the episode, Boji decides that he is strong enough to face them and bashes his head into the floor a bunch. I still don't fully understand why. But my assumption, my projecting, my thing that I will put onto it is that he felt that he was so stupid for having not trusted and not put faith, not having the courage to have faith in the people around him who care about him. And so having regained that faith, he chastises himself for having lost it in the first place. And they decide that they will begin returning home. Whether that return will actually occur in the next episode, I don't know. Again, there is plenty of shit going on at home for us to manage and deal with. What with Bebin coming up with his own plans, and Bosse seemingly playing Moranjo, but I'm not sure. It's confusing and complicated and difficult, and I'm really excited to see more of it because it's really intricate, really intriguing storytelling, and I got nothing but happiness for it. It's really, really good. Okay. I think that's everything that I want to talk about here at the beginning of the episode for Ousama ranking episode 11. So let's turn our attention to the actual episode itself. I've got episode 11 of Ousama ranking up and ready to go. It's at 0 seconds. There will be 2 versions. Picture-in-picture in the description, timer on YouTube, early access on Patreon. BB timer will be coming at you soon. Give me a second to cough and sneeze and stuff just to make sure that I'm good for the episode. Ooh, it's a lot better, but there is still the slightest amount of lingering congestion that's just causing that cough response, which sucks, but at least I'm not miserable anymore, and I feel mostly like I have full lung capacity and stuff, so nice. All right, episode 11 of Ousama ranking. Let's get ready for the wild ride. Beep, beep timer. I nailed the brew on my tea today. Oh. I just thinking about him, yeah. I started to be an asshole. Weird. Oh. Uh-huh. Oh. I guess. Okay, Bosse, why did you... Because he wanted to infest him. Of course it did. Of course she did. And she built up that fucking ego. And she knows what that actually means. Huh. Right. Empathy. Dida has empathy. Hey, what did we say when he went into his darkness and he became withdrawn from everybody and couldn't communicate with anybody? It was like, oh, he's actually gonna have some empathy for Boji now. And it's happening. They just keep nailing all the beats. Like, they just keep nailing every beat. It's literally like listening to a piece of music and being like, there should be a drum beat here. And then it hits, and you're like, that was correct. Resonant. Resonant. It's because it resonates with eternal truth. That's what it is. Is because this story is written in resonance with eternal truth. Just like a good piece of music. Which makes it much more interesting that the OP is so chaotic and, like, non-traditional. And I don't think resonant with Eternal Truth. I think it's okay. Older and younger brothers. Nope. Well. What is Bebin gonna teach Daida? Normal children. Sick people. We're doing a Buddha thing. We're doing a Buddha thing. This is Siddhartha Gautama. To show you. No. Mm-hmm. 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 Or would you cling desperately onto your own life? Hmm. Fully blind. Right. Oh. Double worse. Oh, shit. Guess the world isn't fair? Would you? So you're the weakling? Oh. Oh, what a good argument. No, it's a good argument, kiddo. Doesn't even consider it because he has no other point of reference. Because we take care of the people who are not able to take care of themselves. That's what being a good king. But I don't wanna. Signs on the hands. A thank you. Yeah. Yep. Wow. The most powerful revelation that a child can have. Oh shit, I'm dumb. What? What? He doesn't know that that's her. What? She's a child? Oh, I've got chills. She's the witch. And she doesn't know what she did. She has no hands. They? What is her face, though? Uh-huh. A little bit of kindness, a little bit of pity. Show me the face, yeah. Is it just darkness? Is it just darkness? God fucking damn it, it's the mask's already on. Oh my god, instantly. And this is why she's so desperate to be a person. They mutilated her? Whoa. What's the wrong here? Are you going to stand and protect her? Yeah. Miranjo. He doesn't know? Ah. What smell? Facing it. Something worse is coming? Balrogs? Hmm. How? She's like locked in time as a child. She's stuck. There's no way out. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. No. Let's chill for a sec. Invitation to companionship. Sure, she will. I don't know if you want to do that. Okay. Okay. But where is the real she? What happened here? Oh, shit. It's a piece of her soul? Is this the underworld gate? Why were the guards dead? I don't even know particularly what location this is. Is this... He just felt her presence? Something is wrong. Oh, you have no idea, dude. Something is so wrong. Oh, hi, buddy. Oh, is this where the guy is? She fucking took him? You couldn't have stopped this, buddy. A prisoner has escaped and he is now a tool. Commander Oken. Sweet. Sweet. We got a bad guy. And a little bit of darkness fades. Healing? Oh, we're leaving. We're peacing out. Yeah, good. Why? Could have gotten him a horse, dude. Oh, that was actually a great pan up. Look how many layers. Oh, that was great. That was really good. Hip, hop, hip, hop. This is like a gigantic boulder or something. Yeah. Ah! Ah! Yeah! Yeah, I get that overhead press. Hey, he's got a hand. Yeah. You should be able to do all of this. I love this. How about soon? You're already too late, I think. I think you're already too late. That was the event. Now everybody's gonna have to fight him. Like he's playing a long con. And Oppius just sits and waits. Ugh. That's a weird orifice. Is this the past? This is Oppius versus the Griffin. Yes. Yeah, what happened here that convinced him? Control. Ah, full-faced human, it seems. Did she take over someone else's body to do that? Okay. Oh. I don't, but okay. Gets him to open up. And now we're back to the present and she returns. It was her empathy for his pain? More monsters. Okay. It is? Dessa? Why? Dessa? Please, no. Right. I knew what I taught him, and I knew that he said it back correctly. Wow, Despa. What is he concerned about? Ah. Lack leads to experience. Weakness is strength. Boom. Oh. The army. Oh. You gonna give us a ride? Yeah. We're going to the kingdom. Sweet. We get a fucking entourage. We get a fucking entourage. How does Despa know? I guess he just knows everything. Little hand. Uh-huh. Now, will we get a moment where we reveal that he's scared? No. Okay. And then healing is also off on our own. Dude, that dark face. Yeah, they now have a full hostage of the child of the king. Rough. Oh. The bad kind. The blood man of Sword Boy. I don't fucking know. Sweet, we got a whole progression that we have to fight. Yeah. Suddenly battle shonen. Suddenly battle shonen. King Bow. Yeah. Sweet. Faith. So now we got pieces moving, man. It's like we've hit phase 2. We've actually hit phase 2. This is 11. 12 is next. I think this is probably the end of the core. Maybe one more. Wait, the squad of squatties just stole Body and Bose? Actually? Don't rush. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wow, they did. They're just straight up here. Oh my god, what a... How quick! How snappy. And that's Fiend, right? Whoa, what a moving pieces episode, right? But then there's the Miranjo stuff at the beginning, and that's long game stuff. Long game, like, beginning to comprehend motivations and core characterization of important potential villains that might not be villains. It indicates strongly that Miranjo is not a villain, that she's acting out of something that's, like, slightly off path. That there's a way that we could fix it, potentially. That we could save ourselves from her and save her, maybe. And it'll be up to Daida, the person who's currently least suited to saving somebody with empathy, is going to have to do exactly that if this is going to work out. Whoa, okay, okay. Bang, and that's our episode, everybody. Ooh, what a fun one. What an interesting one, even more so. Okay, so starting off, I'm going to skim the episode first, and then we're going to talk big picture about the episode, because I don't think that this episode's value mostly comes in the small individual instances, as opposed, it's more about the big picture changes that happen over the course of this episode. So let's skim it first. We start off with these moments with Daida thinking inside his mental prison about the past that he had with Boji and how they used to be friends and play together, and there was no boundary between them, no border. But as I got bigger, everyone instilled into me this idea that I needed to become king, especially the mirror, who bolstered my own ego and gave me this perspective that was like, there are the people who are chosen, and then there are the weaklings, and they are people to be looked down upon. And we see that progression from Daida as he sees and recognizes Boji as a person to look down upon. And this gives us this moment of empathy from Daida where he starts to finally understand Boji's perspective and position and his own place within it. And it culminates in him saying, I have been such a fool. Such a powerful revelation for Daida as a character, because of it's the antidote to his egoism, right? It's the antidote to his narcissism and the way that this character has existed, and all of the struggles that he's had can all be brought back to this and can be fixed by that revelation. Shit, I have been a fool. I must change. Ultra powerful, ultra potent. Okay. Aren't they spoiling him because he's a weakling? And I love there's this moment of expression in Bebin where his eyes go wide and he's like, whoa, this kid sees things that way? This is how you see things? This is not what I've taught you. I'm going to teach you something else, kid. Because you're wrong. This kid is not a weakling. And so they go off into town and they see struggle and death and age and sickness. And we're doing... So I said it when it was happening, and it's not specifically this, but it is close enough that it matters. The base story... And by base story, I mean the multi-thousand-year-old legendary mythos that is archetypal and woven into the way that our societies see and have seen the world for thousands of years. In this case, the story of Siddhartha Gautama, the original Buddha, his transcendence and his ability to reach enlightenment comes in large part because of the initial story of his childhood, where he was a prince, was kept away from all pain and suffering by a father who thought that that was the way to do things and the way to make his son perfect and wonderful. And they kept all sickness and all age and all other things away from him, so he never experienced them until he was a young adult. Then, eventually, they made a mistake, and instead of having just throngs of beautiful young people out when he goes and he tours the city, an old person walks by, and the Buddha goes, the fuck is that? This creature so miserable, and his advisor tells him, well, that's what happens when people get old, and you will have that happen too. And then the same thing happens a little bit later, and it's a sick person. He's like, what's this? This is fucked. And they're like, that's what happens when you get sick, and people get sick all the time, and you could get sick too. And then he sees somebody who is dead, and he goes, what the fuck is that? He's not moving anymore. That's weird and wrong. And the advisor says, well, that's death, and all of us will experience that one, no matter what. We're all heading there. And he goes, oh, shit, none of this is what I was experiencing in my life. And so he becomes the Buddha, gives up all his possessions, and goes and tries to explore the world and achieve enlightenment by understanding people and the struggles and the suffering that we go through. The parable is that if you... understanding suffering is the way to reach enlightenment at its core. Understanding that suffering is universal and that you will experience it is the way to reach enlightenment. The relinquishing of desire, which is directly opposed to suffering. Desire generally is a desire to reduce suffering, and you can frame happiness or happiness-causing things as simple reductions of suffering. But desire and the inability to fulfill that desire is the root cause of that suffering, and that's the revelation of the Buddha. Great. This is an archetypal story because it is fundamentally true. It is fundamentally true about the world. This world is trying to kill you, and it will succeed. your goal, depending on what your goal is generally going to be to stave off the world killing you and making your life miserable for as long as possible. But recognizing that it is inevitable is very important. More importantly, in this context, and more importantly, socially, which is, I think, okay, just take a step back. The reason that archetypal story exists and is a fundamental facet of the way that we develop our societies, and it is, right? It's a fundamental facet of the way that Eastern Buddhist societies have been constructed and the way that people treat each other in those societies for thousands of years. Similarly, the like Judeo-Christian symbolism and ideas that are present in those texts and those archetypes are fundamental to the way that certain types of Western societies have been constructed and founded and built, and the way that people interact within those societies for thousands of years. And the reason that they've stuck around in our collective consciousness and the reason that they work is because they actually physically work. They're actually a parabolic mirror, parable, not a parabola, but a parable. So a parabolic mirror that that shows us the important aspects that are fundamental to the way that we must treat each other and ourselves and interact with people in order to succeed as humans. And this is what I meant when in the OP I started talking about the idea that this show resonates with eternal truths. And it's the same reason that I think that good music, and that's an impossible thing to define, but I think that good lasting music literally resonates with fundamental truths of the universe. Music is mathematical, fundamentally. And I think that humans have an innate sense of the mathematical accuracy of truth, of reality in the world, of the way that things should be. It's why when you see an Escher drawing where perspective is off, your brain goes, because it's wrong, right? It's wrong. It can't be. And your brain doesn't work. It's wrong. In the same way, when you hear somebody playing some music and they hit a flat key, if you have any semblance of an understanding of pitch, and there are people who don't, and that's totally fine, but most people will hear that flat key and go, ugh, right? It actually hurts. It actually feels weird, right? Because it's wrong. It's the same thing as looking at a drawing where the perspective doesn't work. It's wrong. Or looking at, scroll through DeviantArt someday. Just scroll through DeviantArt front page someday and look at all the drawings, and you'll see like half of them the artist is not experienced enough and doesn't have the ability to translate the fundamental truth that they see and think that they want to create into their hand and into the pencil and into creating a piece of art. And so you get faces that are warped and people whose perspectives and like and angles are all off and their form is wrong, and it's like the lines aren't right, and it's all wrong, and it makes you feel a certain way. But then you see a piece of art and it's all right, and the perspective is nailed, and the shading looks real, or looks real in the environment that's been created by the artist, real enough to be convincing to your brain, and it echoes enough fundamental truth and reality in the framing that you look at and you go, that's good. That does something different. Why? Well, aesthetics, but why? Why, right? This is a huge portion of thought. A huge body of thought is put into the theories of and philosophies of aesthetics. Why do we like things that look the way that we like them to look? And why is it almost universal that we do? Why do certain colors match with each other and other colors don't? And it's almost universal that they do or don't. It's not a cultural thing so much. Maybe to some extent it can be. But why is that? Well, again, it's mathematical, right? It really, truly it is, right? Those are wavelengths of light that interact in certain ways, and our brain is coded to see them in certain ways. It's like, it's real. And in the same way, music is it's time bound, so it's even more complicated, right? Because there's this spacing progression of everything. Things happen at instances in the music, and if you mess that up, you mess the beat up, or you mess the flow up, it's fucked, and everybody will know it, and everybody who's dancing to it or moving with it will hate it. What is dancing? I know this is a weird conversation, but I swear I'll bring it back to Ousama ranking. What is dancing? Why do we do it? What is it? What is it? It's the weirdest thing, right? We hear rhythmic pulses of vibrations through the air, and we move our body in time with them? Why? Why? And why is it joyous? Because almost every human being takes joy in dancing to music. Why does that happen? It's because it's resonant. It's because it's right. It's because it's truth. And literally, when you are dancing to a piece of music, you are moving yourself in unison with the universal truths of the universe. You are moving yourself in unison with the mathematical fundamentals of everything. That's insanity. It's insane, but it's true. It's real. That's what it is. You are joyously expressing your body's ability to alter space and move through space in time with the fundamental beat of the universe, which we'll theorize is related to our heartbeat or related to our mother's heartbeat or something, or to time, or to the fundamental vibrations of the underlying structure of the atomic world. I don't fucking know. I don't have answers to that. But I will say, I think it's fundamentally clear that dancing is vibing with truth, literally vibing with truth. And so when I say that this show is resonating with eternal truth, and that's why it feels like it keeps nailing its beats, is because it keeps doing it. It keeps doing it. And I've been thinking about this since Monday. And I've been thinking about it hard since Monday because I knew we were going to watch Ousama Ranking today on Wednesday. And Monday, we watched Area 88. And Area 88, the first episode, threw me into a solid discussion of one of my favorite topics, which is the concept of the Jungian shadow and the necessary descent of the hero into finding their own darkness, unifying with it, and finding a way to weaponize their ability to cause harm in a way that they can control. And it's a really cool discussion, I think, and I think I'm not going to repeat it all, so I'm just going to say, first off, you should go watch Area 88. It'll be coming out on OVAdrive before this does. Go and watch it. It's amazing. And also go and listen to the discussion on it, because I think I'll explore this concept in different depth there, because there are different aspects of it present in these two different shows. But I've been thinking about that in the context of Ousama Ranking, because we're watching the same journey occur. And again, I think, and I can't emphasize this enough, I think that the journey that is present in Ousama Ranking, the pieces of story that are being told, as far as I can tell, each and every one of them resonates with fundamental truth. Truly, 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 truly. In the case of Daida, in particular in this episode, the beat that I think we nail, and the one that sparked me to think about it during the OP as the OP was playing, is that Daida is harmed, right? Daida is betrayed. Daida is destroyed, essentially. He has everything that is his and is his birthright, and he's been told for all of his life that it is what he deserves and what he has earned and blah, blah, blah. All of it is taken from him in an instant by somebody that he trusted who betrays him. And we talk about this in massive depth in the Area 88 OVA, because there is a massive betrayal there of someone who he trusts, who our character in that show trusts, betrays him. And that betrayal, that initial trauma, is the thing that separates the people from the other people, separates the succeeders from the withdrawers. Because as I'll discuss in the Area 88 OVA, and as I'll discuss here, there are a couple of options when you get traumatized. And I'll go through the list again. When you get mugged, when you get assaulted, when you get raped, when you get hurt, when you get beat by a parent, when you get betrayed by a friend, when you get stolen from, when your house is broken into. All of these things that cause deep and lasting trauma and make the individual potentially feel deeply unsafe around other people. There's a couple options that you can take at that point. One of the options is to withdraw, to curl up in a ball and go, and just hate everything and fully withdraw from pain, because you realize that the world is full of pain. And if you don't want pain, which you don't, nobody wants pain. I mean, some people, to be clear, some people like pain in like a sexual way, but it's not because it causes pain. It's a different response. It's a different situation. It doesn't work as part of the argument. Nobody likes pain. not actually, really, unless they've associated pain with pleasure in some extent. Sorry, I have to put the caveat in there. So you withdraw from the pain. This would be like if Siddhartha Gautama saw the suffering of the world and, well, fuck that, I'm gonna go sit in my pretty little castle and I'm gonna pretend that it's never gonna come for me. But it doesn't work, because suffering is universal. And if you withdraw, you face the suffering of being withdrawn. And that's actually big suffering. It's big pain to be withdrawn from everybody. Humans are social creatures. We don't like being alone. We need to be alone sometimes, and there's a variation and a sliding scale and a spectrum of how much alone time versus social time people need, and lots of people are on different ends of that spectrum. But being truly alone, truly withdrawn, especially in the context where you are afraid to go out or afraid to communicate with others, especially because if you're afraid to communicate with them because you think they're going to hurt you, that's just anxiety-inducing suffering, pure suffering. And so you have to choose between the suffering of knowing people and being around people or the suffering of being alone. And that's a pretty classic experience. So the withdrawing is one answer, but it doesn't work. It's not an answer. Another answer in the face of trauma is to go, well, I've been betrayed. I will become the betrayer. I have been monsterized. A monster has hurt me. Human monster, perhaps. I will therefore become a monster because I see that being a monster works, and if I want to be effective, this is the only way. And I think this is most common when it comes from a parent, or when the trauma comes in such a way where it indicates to the person who is being traumatized that is the actual way forward, and it leads to the classic bully who is bullied or hurt people who hurt people sort of situation. And it doesn't work either, because you just keep suffering, and the reptile brain hierarchical dominance thing that you get from insulting or traumatizing or hurting other people doesn't last, and you never connect with anybody, so you're still alone, and you just cause a net increase in suffering in the world, so it's all bad. It's not good. It's not worthwhile, right? And then there are a couple of other responses. And the one that I bring up, and the one that is happening in this show, and is happening for Boji, and now is maybe happening for Daida, is you experience trauma, betrayal, suffering, etc. Boji experienced this for his entire life, right? For Boji, it's sort of the opposite situation, where he experienced that for his entire life, but was somewhat oblivious to it because of his nature, and then experiences kindness and companionship for essentially the first time via Kage, and then via healing. And then a bigger betrayal, of course, when Daida steals his job promotion, essentially, steals his kingdom, which fucking sucks. And that causes him to go out and have to do something new. So Boji starts off the story as somebody who has been traumatized constantly, or been harmed, or in a place of suffering constantly, but so much so that he almost, like Frog or the Toad allegory, has acclimated to it completely. Like, it doesn't really faze Boji. He's just almost oblivious to it. But he's not actually oblivious to it, right? We've seen that in him, that he actually does know it. He just keeps going. And this emphasizes the fact that Boji is actually quite strong for having kept going for so long, because he is aware of the way that people treat him and the way that people see him. And he wishes that he could change it, right? And we learned that portion of things in the first couple of episodes. But he experiences the trauma and has to call to action, leave his home. So it's a mishmash of the Campbellian hero's journey ethos and the Jungian shadow merge ethos of like, how do you self-actualize as a human being and become the kind of person who gains the power to, like, protect what you need to protect, and also to protect yourself against the viciousness and horrors of the world. How do you accomplish that? Well, it's pretty simple. You descend into hell. Campbell. You descend into the darkness. You find your shadow. In this case, literally a shadow. Literally Kage, his sidekick, is a shadow. And Kage is another character who has done the same sort of thing, right? Kage, deeply traumatized from childhood. And Kage went the path of, I'll just fuck everybody else over because I've been fucked over so much, right? That was where Kage was before he met Boji, right? That's where Kage was. He was like, fuck it, I'm gonna steal whatever I want. I'm gonna take whatever I want. I see this fucking kid, I'm gonna hold a knife to him and make him give me his clothes, little bastard. Har har. That was where Kage was at. Kage was pure shadow, and Boji was pure light. And then together they flee, they descend into darkness. Kage learns some of Boji's light and becomes a significantly better person because of it. And Boji, he learns it from Despa, from a mentor figure, which is important. And, oh my god, oh, I just realized, we don't have to kill Despa. We might, but we don't have to. Oh my god, we don't have to kill the mentor. Oh my god, we don't have to kill the mentor. He kills himself, right? He actually does. Oh my god, I just realized. That's so brilliant. We don't have to kill Despa. And I mean, fundamentally, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi has to die, right? For the story of Star Wars to work. The mentor has to die. Despa kills himself by having the guards come and fight him in the thing. And we discover, like, we realize, oh, Despa's not that strong, but he is a great teacher. And in doing so, Boji is forced to step into the place, right? This is the reason the mentor has to die, is because if the mentor survives, the main character gets to remain just static. They don't have to change, they don't have to improve, and they don't have to defend themselves because the mentor can defend them. For example, if Obi-Wan was still around, Luke wouldn't have to fight because Obi-Wan could just fight the fights for him. But Despa, one, remains in Hades, so doesn't get to leave and doesn't get to come with us or protect us. Nice. And two, he kills himself in that process, in that bar fight, so that Boji has to step in and fight and show his stuff. Oh my god, he has to self-actualize because of it. Oh, so sick. Okay, but anyway. The antidote to this kind of suffering is to descend into darkness, acquire the ability to harm. Acquire the ability to cause harm. Acquire the ability to have teeth and claws, because you've realized that the rest of the world does, right? And you've realized that just like most animals have evolved some kind of defense mechanism, right? Even a squirrel will claw and bite, right? Even a deer, I mean, most deer just run away, but they'll try to kick you with hooves, and they'll try to ram you with horns. They will have some way to fight back because it's an advantage. Almost every animal has some way to fight back, right? And humans, our way to fight back is with our fists, right? We punch. We use momentum and punches, and they work okay. We also use weapons. And Boji picks up a weapon, and that's the thing, right? You pick up some teeth and some claws, but you don't become a devil, right? You don't become a demon yourself. You don't let the demon in to yourself. Great, amazing, interesting. And you don't make deals with devils. You learn how to control your ability to harm others. And Boji has done that to the nines. It's not just, it's actually so fucking thematically valuable now that I'm thinking about it in this way. It's not just that he learns how to strike a man down, right? Any big beefy boy can do that. King Bossy can whack somebody with his big club and whack a man. That didn't sound right. Take somebody down. Boji learns to take somebody down without hurting them. How to disable an enemy without killing them. How to end darkness or end a threat without becoming a threat. How to take down a monster without becoming a monster. This is actually almost novel. It's not novel. I mean, the idea's been played through before, but it's almost novel. No, it's not. There's another character who does exactly this. Yeah. There's another character who does exactly this. Holy shit. Now it's a little bit simpler and a little bit different. Can you guess what character I'm gonna say? What character takes enemies who are a threat and removes them from being enemies without killing them, but is willing to kill them or harm them or destroy them if necessary, if all else fails? Hibiki Tachibana, Senki Zesho Symphogear. The strongest fist is the one that can open and extend an open hand, right? Same idea to some extent. It's just different, right? Hibiki has the strength to win the fight. She gains it from her descent into darkness and embodying some of the power that causes trauma initially, right? Because it is the initial trauma of watching Y-Wing and all the stuff that happens that causes the whole reason for her to be like, I want to fight. But she doesn't want to fight people. She wants to extend an open hand to them and eliminate them from being a threat. But she will fight if she has to. She gains the ability to defend herself if necessary, but more importantly, the ability to empathize with her foes and prevent them from being foes, and indeed turn them into friends. Boji gains the ability with his sword to take down his enemies without killing them, without becoming a monster himself. It's sort of the same and sort of completely different. And now he is in process of returning from the underworld to the home that has been wrecked. Like the Odyssey, right? Like classic storytelling. And it's on beat. And the notes are proper. It resonates with fundamental truths of the universe, man. It really does. Okay, so we go through this conversation, and it is that. Again, all of this happened because I was just going to skim it. Why is he able to go overcome his weakness and go on living? The answer in this case is because the king is strong and his kingdom is bountiful. Because of the social constructs that underlie everything, the weak are able to survive, and they are able to show that they are not actually weak. This is so powerful and so potent. Like, such a philosophically potent idea, and such a socially and politically potent idea, I think. And this is a jump and a bit of a leap from what we were talking about before, but I think it's a really great way of demonstrating a core political concept that I think gets thrown around and fully misunderstood a lot of the time. Daida's position in this example is one of deep entitlement. And I mean, he's a king, he's a prince, right? He's had everything dealt with from his youth. He's never had to struggle, really. Not really. And so he doesn't realize the value of a strong kingdom. Not really. The value of a strong kingdom, primarily, the value of a strong social structure, let's say, one that supports its people and one that keeps its people alive, even if maybe they couldn't keep themselves individually alive, is that the talents that those individuals have that aren't demonstrated immediately or on the surface can come out. This is fundamental to the way that humanity progresses. Straight up, fundamental to the way that humanity progresses. One of the biggest changes to humankind in ever was our transition from hunter-gatherers to agriculturalists to farmers. Why? Well, one hunter-gatherer can feed themselves and maybe a couple of other people, but one farmer with irrigation can feed dozens of people. And so if you get a few people who are really good at farming and they make enough food to feed everybody in your town or village and more, then you can have more people. But more importantly, the people who aren't good at hunter-gathering, who would have been useless in a previous society, right? Would have been viewed as useless in a previous society because they cannot provide food for themselves, and so they are a hungry mouth that somebody else has to provide for. Suddenly, there's enough food that they can survive anyway, and so maybe that person is actually a goddamn genius with bone needles and bits of leather. And maybe they make clothing that's better. And maybe because they make clothing that's better, some of our kids survive the winter more. And then our whole society works better. Interesting. Or maybe they're really good with clay and they figure out how to shape clay and bake it, and it's sturdier and stronger. And so they make better pots for us to store our grain in so that our grain doesn't get infested by mold or eaten by rats. And then our whole society survives better. But those were useless people. But they're not useless people. And so I think fundamentally, the goal of a strong society, one that supports its people, is to be supported in turn by bolstering the hidden talents of those individuals. Because if everybody is just judged on their ability to produce food, and that's the only value that everybody cares about, then all the multifarious talents of all the multifarious people who are in a society don't come out and don't show. This is why I'm in favor of, like, universal health care and a living wage. People should be able to survive no matter what kind of work they do as long as they produce value. And also, healthcare is important because if you've got health problems, you're focused on those instead of on doing whatever creates value for yourself and the rest of the world. Strong society makes for strong individuals, makes for a stronger society, makes for stronger individuals, makes for it. Right? So good. We want you to be someone who can give hope to everyone else because that is more valuable than anything else. And Daida's so resistant to it, he grits his little teeth, says. And we watch as this blind, deaf man takes a couple of apples given freely and signs a little thank you. And Daida doesn't get it. Right here, this moment is Daida not getting it. He's like, what the fuck? Why is this guy getting a freebie? He doesn't get it. And then he sits here and he goes, ah, shit. Oh. 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 Oops. I'm a dumbass. I'm a fucking fool. And because he has this moment of revelation, he is able to hear and see Miranjo, right? It's because of this, narratively. He would not see this. He would not see her soul, or whatever the fuck is going on, and I don't know what the fuck is going on, but he would not see it if he didn't have this revelation. Now, I know that it's written, and he might anyway, but like, fundamentally, he would not be able to see the actual soul of Miranjo, whatever it is, if he didn't realize that his lack of empathy in the past was foolish. If his mind didn't just open in this moment. It happens immediately after. Right? In the moment where he says, oh, I'm an idiot, is the moment when he hears another person crying for the first time ever in his life. Ah! It's right. It's true. It's truth. Fucking truth. God's honest truth. Right hand to the goddamn book of whatever you care about. Oh! You don't hear the cries of the other until you have the revelation that you're stupid. Yes! Yes! Amazing. Who the fuck are you? Can't we get out? Nope. And all we hear is, I didn't do anything wrong. I did nothing wrong. Probably this is not true, but it is a fine perspective. Nani? I love the blue tone that we get on over everything in this scene. It makes everything so icy cold, and I like it a lot. The faces of these people are super creepy, and the way that they devolve into like, oh, no, you're the heinous villain. We tore her skin off. It was great. We loved doing it. Whoa, that's some spooky shit. Man, the reveal of the arms and the mask and shit is crazy. What the fuck are you? This girl is the one who killed us. It was painful. It was torturous. Our people were kind and smart, but then they came to our land. Our bounty was taken and everything was destroyed. They. What is Miranjo? And what happened to this land? Because the indication is that she's not human. From the start. Or maybe just a different kind of human. Could be weird. everything was destroyed, and she hits, it's not true, it's not true. I think it is. I think it is, actually. But I think it's a matter of perspective. And so here's our other chunk, our other possibility, right? We talked about withdrawing. We talked about finding a way to utilize force and strength to protect and to eliminate monsters without becoming one yourself, right? But there's another option, which is if you refuse to recognize your own ability to cause harm, this is where you end up. And essentially, what it says is if you refuse to recognize your own ability to cause harm, you will still cause harm, but you will not be in control of it, and you will be in turmoil because all you will be able to do is deny your intention. I didn't intend to cause harm. You still caused harm. And so you will be a mannequin without hands and without face. Some part of it falls apart. The lack of hands, though, feels right to me. That lack of control, indicated by the lack of hands, that lack of ability to control the way you manipulate the world around you, and the need to just attempt to withdraw within yourself, but you're still harming people, is exactly what happens if you gain the ability to cause harm, but deny it within yourself. And this is why in the Area 88 OVA, I spent so much time stressing that every human being is capable of causing immense harm. Every human being is capable of murder. Every human being is capable of theft. Every human being is capable of the most heinous crimes in the entire world. And the antidote for that capacity is recognizing that you have that capacity and learning to control it. Because if you view yourself as harmless, you will find out one day that you're not. And you might find it out standing over a corpse. And you might not. You might stand over that corpse with blood dripping off of a knife, blood on your hands, and go, it can't be true. I can't have done this. And that's because you haven't recognized your own shadow and your own capacity to cause harm to the world. You haven't gained control over yourself. And so you can't actualize. You can't become a person. You're not a full person until you recognize that you can cause harm and you gain control over that, because otherwise it will control you and it will put you in a position where you feel like this. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, so she loses the mask. Ba-boom. They all laugh at her. Where is my mask? And he sees a pitiful creature, and he goes to hand her mask back, and in the process sees her face. And in this moment, his face lights up, and he jumps back. What are you? Your face. And we don't get to see it. And in this one moment, his cruelty is there. Monster! You monster! You're wrong. You're wrong. I'm not a monster. I'm a girl. I'm going to be a princess. And he is taken aback by this. He doesn't know what to think. And so he is then surrounded by the group. And the group all says, we see it too. She's so horrifying, right? Don't you think that she deserves what she deserves? We did that. We stripped all of the skin off of her face to make a spectacle of her. And suddenly we realize that there is no side here that is right. So she couldn't fight back. I want to shout out the voice actors here because they put a genuine glee into the voice lines. Yes, we did. Ah, ha, ha, ha. And Daida finds himself torn and no, he chooses to protect the weak. The one that he had disdain for a second ago, despite his own reptile brain disgust at seeing a mutilated person, he chooses to protect her. I think that's actually really important. It's a really important thing to bring up as well. And it's something that we really don't like talking about because it makes us feel bad as people. And it should, honestly. It's the disgust response. And the way that we have a disgust response to, and I'm saying we because I think it's universal. I think it's an evolutionary trait, and it's unfortunate. It's fucked up, and people are not going to like me saying this, and that's okay. You can discuss it. You can argue against it. Hit me in the comments. I don't mind. Just hit me in good faith. That's it. If you want to argue this point, argue it in good faith, because I'm stating this in good faith. I believe that this is true. I don't necessarily believe it's a good thing. When we see people who are disabled or have birth anomalies or deformities, or are mutilated, or are harmed, or have been burned, or have been cut up, or otherwise are not okay, primary, initial, fundamental response that the human brain has. Again, there's no value statement here. It's not that it's good. It's not that it's bad. I do think it's generally bad. Often it's disgust or contempt. And what we see in this moment from Daida, we see exactly that on his face. We see him see a person who is traumatized and struggling, and he recognizes all of those things because he's opened his mind to them. But he's immature in that openness. He's immature in it. It just happened. But he sees that, and he sees her face, and it's not a face of a person that he can think of, and so he thinks monster, and he has that disgust response. But then he hears disgusting words from all of these people, and he decides that his emotional, innate disgust response is far less important than his ethical disgust response. That his disdain for these people and the way that they are talking about gleefully about ripping the skin off of a girl's face and cutting her arms off so that she can't fight back, that's the real horror. And so he fights for her, right? He overcomes that initial disdain. And that's super important, I think, because it's the demonstration that with sufficient openness and with a realization of your own foolishness and a recognition that pain and suffering are universal and do not necessarily, being physically flawed is not a character flaw. How about that? Being physically flawed or disabled is not a character flaw. It doesn't make you a bad person. What makes you a bad person is being a bad person. And Daida has recognized that in the past he has been a bad person. And now he sees that in these people, in their contempt for someone who is less than them in this situation. And it echoes his own contempt for Boji. And now that resonates in a painful way with him because he realizes that contempt for Boji was wrong. And so he fights. Stellar. Stellar! Hi, I'm Daida. What's your name? Miranjo. And he doesn't fucking know. We're gonna get out of here, dude. And then there are thousands of them. We can do anything we want. You people disgust me. And she looks at him with wonder. That smell, and they all disappear. Why? Because he faced them. Right? Just like bullies. You face a bully and they'll stop fighting you. And then she smells his smell. You smell like Bosse. And she says, oh, the Bosse I know doesn't have any children. And she's in love with him. Clearly, right? He must be someone else. So this Miranjo does not know all the things that Miranjo knows. This is a soul of Miranjo as a child, like a remnant or an echo or something that's trapped in this ethereal fundamental space. Or maybe we're inside Daida's body now, and we're inside Bosse, actually, and this is the Miranjo that Bosse knows? Actually. What if this is the Miranjo that Bosse is holding deep within his heart? The last remnant of the way he sees her. And the real her in the real mirror lacks this girl. Lacks this soul. Something like that. Huh. I don't know. I don't know how to explain the actual mechanical aspects of this. Thank you for saving me. Goodbye. Hey, stay here with me. It's safer that way. The hand opens. Awesome. My mother will help me get out of here soon, and you're coming with me, of course. Don't worry, Miranjo. I'll save you. Okay, we turn our attention here, and we don't know what's happening, and we find out what's happening. Desha feels something. I love this character. My lord! I love his little eyes in the corner. He's like, fuck, it's empty. And that spooky guy is out. Oken, commander of the Order of the Underworld. Uh-oh. Healing's out. These two are squatting and doing stuff, wondering about what to do. And we focus on all these obvious moments, and I don't fully understand it. What I do understand is this moment here, right? Where Appius goes, I am weak and broken. I am worthless. And Miranjo walks up to him and goes, I'm not even a person, but I will have compassion for you. And he just breaks down in her arms. Now, we don't know, but we know that this is the fundamental of why Appius is loyal to her. It's very interesting. Even my smile is stiff, but your potential is boundless. This is how she manipulates people, mostly. She tells them that they can do anything, and she believes in them. It's a really powerful way to manipulate people. It might even be true. She might not even be lying. She might actually be just believing in people. Little by little, fall apart in my arms. And, oh, we leave Despa. It's so good and so cute. The mentor doesn't have to die. Away we go. And at this moment, we set up our full shonen battle anime. We gotta fight all these homies. It's gonna be crazy. We get the whole spectrum of them. We think about all the people that we're going to go and protect, and it's important. Healing is on the move, Dorshi's on the move, Boji's on the move, and Bosse Daida is now stuck in the middle of a bunch of bad dudes who we're all going to have to fight. Such a sick setup. Love it. Simultaneously, a really great episode for progressing the narrative, and an absolutely extraordinary episode for making me think about particular aspects of the storytelling of this show. Fantastic. The underlying concept of lack leading to experience, being without something leading to it's in the Despa stuff. When they have this conversation and Despa says to him essentially like, people think of you as weak, but really because of what you are missing, you have experienced many things that most people don't ever experience. You have unique skills because of your weakness. It's not literally weakness is your strength, because that's platitudinous. It's empty. It doesn't mean anything. But it's more specific. It's that you have lacked things has led to unique experiences, which gives you unique perspective, which is valuable. Similarly, we'll talk in a different context, right? We'll talk about how restrictions often lead to better art. Or restrictions lead to creativity. And I think that's fundamentally true too. And I think that it's true in this case. I think it's also true, and not necessarily a good thing, but it's also true that most of the greatest artists in the world are pursuing art or have pursued art because of trauma in their lives, because of lacks or difficulties or insanity, or just purely being harmed by the world and feeling pain. Pain is one of the greatest causes of creativity in humans. It's part of how we cope, and it's amazing. It's amazing that we do that we can be hurt and we can turn that into creating beauty for other people. Insane that happens. I love this fundamental concept for the episode, and I love the conversation that we've had about the way that the show continues to nail these powerful beats in a way that I think, again, and I'll use the phrase again, resonates with the fundamental underlying truths of the universe. And that's incredibly powerful. It's the meaning, to me, it's the meaning of good media. It's the meaning of good writing, is that resonance. In the same way that it's the meaning of good music or good art, to me, that resonance is what makes this show so goddamn good. And then on top of it are all the individual little aspects like the cool art and the great fight scenes and the cute characters and the great relationships between those characters and all of that stuff. It's just gravy. But the biscuit is the resonant story that's telling true stories, true human stories, archetypal, fundamental, symbolic, resonant. Amazing. Okay. that's going to be it, everybody. I am going to wrap there. I will take a moment to chill. I will just say, some people are moderately good at watching and talking about anime, and those people could use your support. And you can support me if you'd like to via the Patreon. That's all I'll say. I'm not a great farmer, but I am pretty good at talking about stories. So if you enjoy me talking about stories and you'd like me to continue to be able to do that, throwing me some wheat, some food is a super great way to do it, and the Patreon is the best way to accomplish that goal. So thank you so much for doing so, and I appreciate all of your support and comments and likes and all those things so very, very much. I also appreciate this show so very, very much. It's so good. And I will wrap there. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week for Ousama Ranking episode 12. And it feels like we're moving into a second cooler sort of situation. We'll see. I know that there's a new OP. I don't know if it's at 12 or 13, but we'll find out next week, I suppose. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time for more Ousama Ranking. Peace.